Greetings, guten Tag, Talafalava, bonjour, bonjour. To my Snoking Club flock, this is Dr. Snow Brown speaking to you all once again, catching up. I hope you've all had a lovely week, or the rest of the last month gone. Anyway, what am I going to preach about today? Well, specifically, right about now, I think the situation has become quite my situation in this country in terms of a natural pastor and also director for a private company. It's actually a private monarch as well. Is actually in jeopardy right now, so to speak. What I mean is that my life is under threat in this country called New Zealand, or as seen on my logo, Aotearoa New Zealand. And I mean that truthfully. Constantly, you all know the situation of this address that I'm residing in. There are more MMB members, Mongolog members, than there are normal tenants. So this is a gang-infested address. And it specifically came to be that way with a purpose in mind. And for whose benefit was it? Well, it appears to be more the elites, their associate elites, or more so in general, the elites who are part of the so-called privileged group, the upper class, or above the upper class group, who not only govern our country, who passes laws, makes law for this country. They seem to have had more an interest, and especially the Maori elites. That's correct. So I've discovered living here. Ever since I have moved here, these criminals have been applying their criminal harmful protocols, apartheid harmful protocols, partnership protocols, especially arbitrary dictatorships in the form of on the criminal level. That's correct. They've been trying to, I think the objective was, from the outset when I moved here to this address, was that they were going to have the privilege, apply their so-called privileges that the elites had given them. Now, of course, they are criminals. But of course, they didn't care. I didn't come here to be targeted by a criminal organization. So the majority of them are gang members inside this address. I did not come here, I came here for tenancy. Purely, solely for tenancy. And Lord and behold, it's turning out to be a nightmare. From the very outset, they've been wanting access to enter my flat, whether it be the old flat 11, Nabai Floor Macruder Walk, Imnitana Pahat, upstairs, in the very top 2 stories upstairs. And then when I thought that by moving down to this new address down here, flat 3, Nabai Floor Macruder Walk, on the ground level, that things will change, that things will improve, especially the unlawful entries, the trespassing, the intrusions, the coming in whenever they felt like it. That's correct. That didn't improve at all. That it just got worse. That's correct. Last Friday, I went out to do an errand at a particular library in Wellington. When I got back, I knew that someone had entered unlawfully. The unlawful entry was still happening, regardless of the 2 lots of trespass notice that I served upon the offenders, majority on the list of dead by wish list inside my kingdom. The majority of people, those people were served a trespass notice, 2 lots of trespass notice twice. That's correct. Now Archbishop Cardinal actually John Jew is only the only one out of those 2 lots, the group that was served trespass notice, that was served a 3rd time lot of trespass notice with special conditions. But each time I served them, the criminals inside this building, who are part of the Maori elites, part of also the elites that are associates of their criminal organization and the KKK have all been ignoring the warnings on the legally served trespass notices. That's correct. That I went out of my way to serve. Now, whether it was taping on the door, putting it in the mailbox, via registered post, it was served legally with special conditions, and they just seem to ignore it completely. I don't know why. There must be something wrong with their brains. If not, there must be something wrong elsewhere. Something to do with their so-called family history, criminal record history, the way that they were reared up as from young children, and until adults, and a lot of them have been in and out of prison, of course. So I think they're constantly trying to come in, even at nighttime. I notice that I don't sleep at nighttime. Majority of time I'm eating between the hours of 9 o'clock till 5 in the morning. That's correct. The only time I go to sleep is probably during the day. That's correct. I don't know, for some odd reason, my clock has changed. And I put it down to my guardian angel, some of the archangel, are trying to keep me safe but protected from the wolves, from the hungry wolves and the obnoxious weeds. That's correct. And it doesn't help my situation if I am singled out and they're all ganging up. That means the Maori elites, majority of Maoris inside this address are either related, like Kiritapu Ellen, who is the Minister for Justice, that's correct. Could be related to a lot of the Maoris that are actually gang members inside this address, like the family in number 7, that's correct. Or even number 10, or even number 4, or number 1. But the most dangerous at the moment, the criminals that pose a real danger and a threat inside this address, are the gang members inside flat 1, flat 4, and flat 7. And those are the 3 flats that I believe the tenants that are now dishing out the wrath, that are either having sex with the elites or having sex with the Pākehās to dictate, to overrule, but to continue on with the dictatorships. I think that hopefully when I file my asylum application, I am now going to forget about filing the restraining order. I'm going straight for the asylum application and then the restraining order. I've still yet to get the information regarding the full details, the details of the Mr. Prezi, that's correct. Let's hope there is going to be some cooperation somewhere, because filing of the restraining order is going to happen, irrespective, regardless. When you consider, you've got to weigh up all those dictatorships. And even if it came from my rallies, their dictatorships, being associates and having a bad connection with that criminal organization, KKK or MMB, they didn't need to be part of the police intelligence unit, which is another troublemaker that's on top of the other troublemakers that I have to contend with. I have to deal with them at the courts and even at the asylum application. But the asylum application, at least I don't have to physically deal with them and look at the offenders, the perpetrators, and the intruders that have been conspiring during my 9 years of tenancy to try and dig my grave, to plot against me, to scheme, that's correct, to continue on with the annoyance, being a menace, a pain in the butt, coming inside my flat, tasting my food, even eating. They still saw I happened last Friday. I mean, want to look at my so-called container, that's correct, I opened up, but you know what, it looks like somebody has eaten something, has eaten soy, that's correct. Mighty typical, it is mighty typical. The only thing that a German would want to do, that is a no, but is grab a gun and shoot your foot or shoot your mouth, that's correct. For stealing, for eating, for coming inside. You'd been warned too many times. I don't know where these lunatics and maniacs get the idea that they've got a right to enter unlawfully and apply these sort of stupid privileges. I mean, I don't understand why the elites are so evil, but it's starting to make sense that their people are sick. Terribly sick regimen. Not only are they selfish, but they also seem to be very sick mentally. They do not make sound decisions. They're unsound. That's correct. The elites know what I'm talking about. Well, as a graduate, as a former graduate of Victoria University, that's correct, with 2 degrees, Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics, whoopie-doo, and a Bachelor of Honours in Linguistics at 3rd class, which really wasn't. I really couldn't care. I just wanted to finish it. That's correct. But other than that, a lot of the criminals inside this building, I don't even care whether they have any qualifications, but I'm pretty sure they're not qualified. But they sure know a lot and know, the system really well in terms of police commissioner and who to go to in order to retaliate, to be able to harm me, psychologically and even physically. Considering those, the 5 years banning and the 2 years trespass notice from about Cozy Club, they are now part of the conspiracy of this criminal organization's arbitrary dictatorships. Meaning they didn't need to give me that decision. They didn't need to be that racist and that arrogant and that rude. That's correct. So isn't exactly, I've just joined their club around about 2013. That's correct. Before that, I was never seen nor heard inside their club. That's correct. And I don't remember ever being abrasive or ever doing anything annoying or stalking people inside the Cozy Club. I don't think so. I think I was pretty civil than most people, considering some patrons assaulted some of the staff. That's great. And they got a 2 years banning. Seriously. I had a verbal altercation that's abusive, to somebody who swore at me in the club. That's correct. Outside of the premises, meaning after hours, right outside business hours. That's correct. And I get done for not only a suspension for about 10 days. I think that was enough, but they wanted to stretch it out and go for 5 years and 2 years banning. So when that decision was imposed, this address felt like a prison, a penitentiary. And it sure felt like I was being singled out and stalked and harassed and studied. And they seem to have been eavesdropping. For some odd reason, the people of Aotearoa, I have noticed this. Your people, this is great. I'm talking about the indigenous people of this country. I've noticed that in the last 9 years, anything that I do here locally, whether it be my so-called rules, or I'm teaching something inside the Facebook, or they seem to copy, they seem to go and duplicate. Copycats, that's correct, and counterfeit. I don't understand that your people, there's 800,000 of your people in this country, but the Maoris in this country have got a serious, just like that lawyer, Mr. Anthony Shaw, that's correct, Mr. Tut. They've got a serious compulsive obsession to listen, to study you, but to listen, to be nosy, to eavesdrop into your private conversations. And that includes, I've noticed, anything I do, their people seem to go and duplicate, copy. But they're not Christians. I'm not related to any of them either. Their people are just crazy. But it's the kind of craziness that you deserve the bullet to the head. That's correct. Because a lot of the majority of Maori women I have noticed in this country are severely oppressed, marginalized, and are also controlled by the men on such a level that is, you can't even comprehend. That's correct. The men are so evil, and I'm talking about the Maoris. Just look at the so many criminals over 70 plus. And yet, the Maori women are controlled. Not only do they severely punish them, I wouldn't be surprised in the last 40 odd years, even going back after the Sanctuary, that a lot of the women were put to death. They had their heads severed. That's correct. Is a teaching of a lesson to be taught. The men taught them lessons. That's correct. And this kind of attitude seemed to rub off these criminals inside this building. They have a very retaliatory, retributive type mindset, a very harmful, vengeful mindset. Where if they dislike somebody, especially women, they have to, it's not enough just to trespass them. You've got to ban them for about, say, 5 to 7 years, to really make it, to make it sink in. Let's hope it's going to sink in. We really want to teach this so-called baby elephant or this indigenous, this coconut, a fucking good lesson. And I noticed that with the university, instead of giving you 2 years banning, which was enough, hello, I was in my late 20s, going on 30s. I didn't need to be extended to 6 years a year. What for? It felt like you were given, you were taught a lesson, given more than what normally is in the norm would be given to a normal, ordinary Kiwi. That's great. Job blogs. You had to I guess they were hoping for a miracle as to, I bet you she's going to commit suicide. I bet you she won't be able to, cope with this kind of pressure. Because a lot of Pākehās and Maoris, we don't give those kind of decisions because we know what would happen. They would end up committing suicide, that's correct. If they had a mental illness, suffer from depression or bipolar or manic or some other post-traumatic stress disorder, they probably would have committed suicide. But not this one. So I must be extra special. Indeed. So right about now, I can't believe it that the dumb Maoris, part of this criminal organizations, have even got an addiction to entering people, the middle of the night, in the mornings, and they're hungry. And they're hungry. What they're hungry for is that they're sexual predators. They're hungry for sex, but you're coming to the wrong address. Or at least they're trying to get in. That's correct. And I'm trying to make sure that they don't come in. It's disgusting. It's so disgusting to think that the Minister of Housing and even the other ministers that are associates of this criminal organization seem to think that it's a good idea if their people that are sick mentally, sick with erythromania, incest, especially pedophilia, go and annoy her. Go and see if you can get in. That's correct. When I moved in on this flat, I remember on the 6th of October last year, as a transfer relocation from upstairs, flat 11 down to the flat 3, I noticed that the window, it was only by accident that I saw, the window was somehow, didn't have a lock in my bedroom. That's correct. I guess they were hoping that she's not going to notice that. And if she does, she's just going to allow, we hope that she's just going to ignore it because we're going to have a bunch of sex maniacs and sexual predators creeping in, climbing through that window. And I noticed also the window up there, that's correct, wasn't quite locked. That's correct. But the window, disturbing thing was the window in my bedroom was that they were wanting access to enter my bedroom or into my flat while I was asleep. I guess these are the dictatorships, the arbitrary dictatorships that seem to be coming from the police officers that had me raped on the 24th of June 2003. Does that sound about right? Kind of makes sense that nearly every asshole that's inside this building would know those police officers. In fact, a lot of the women that are part of the criminal organizations, MMB, KKK associates, inside this building, they all were raped by a police officer. Hence the reason why they have a very good rapport, a good relationship with the police force of New Zealand, because a lot of their women that are in criminal organizations and even Maoris that are not part of criminal organizations have been raped, have been known to be violently raped by Pākehās or that are part of the treaty partnership, but more so by Pākehās that are officials of that work for the police force, as well as other agencies, government agency departments. I hate to think that the minister themselves, that, you know, you got 24 hours on the day, and I'm pretty sure that they are watching those women being raped, whether it be by police officers or other officials in the system, and it might be correction staff, it might be a security staff. Man, do I trust anybody in this local township? I don't think so. Especially if there's been a lot of hackings with my digital devices where they've also seemed to put their foot and mouth in it. That's correct. Where they think they can dictate to my property that I've been preaching, saying, hey, I paid for most of a lot of the stuff I paid for. That's correct. And they think they can come here, help themselves to the kitchen and use the oven. That's correct. And cook their food. Who does that? And they think they can come and use my bathroom. That's correct, which might be the toilet or even the bathroom itself to shower. Who does that? And then they think they can help themselves by entering, you know, my fridge and my freezer have got a lock. You need a key to open it. But these criminals have somehow found a way, think that they just been brainwashed and manipulated by the elites, especially the Maori elites, to assume that it's their right to do that because they're part of the elites. When in actual fact, I call it ludicrous. It's lunacy and also stupidity to do that kind of thing because, well, I've lived here for the last 9 years. When have I ever entered any of their addresses? When have I ever wanted to target them, let alone eavesdrop and listen to private conversations? Never, never. Your rallies are so evil. That's correct. How they know about the state of affairs, my private area down there. They seem to know what it looks like and what the state is. Especially those two in Timarua, Mr. and Mrs. Yoke. Funny enough, I went to Specsavers last week. Was it last week? That's correct. To do my eye test and get my glasses. And the staff there, he was wonderful. That's correct. But he said the most strangest, disgusting comment I ever heard. He said, so your husband just left. Your husband was here. I said, say that again. A husband entered the Specsavers here in Mahat. And I said, who is that? I said, it can't be, it's Heinz Gerardus. No, he's not my husband. He's my dad's brother. That's correct. I hate to think that maybe Heinz Gerardus is my dad's brother, but the majority of the Trevi Hasequavensis might have actually gone inside Specsavers specifically to annoy, to stalk and harass you. Although, why does he need to be there on that day? That's correct. Same day that I'm coming into Specsavers. To mislead a staff, a professional, qualified staff, that he could be my partner. Seriously. What is this? The Maoris have got it badly. That's correct. When they know that they can't go the right way to ask a woman out, to ask somebody's hand in marriage, they got to find these dodgy ways, like the police officers. Drug the women, that's correct. Make them, and then have them dealt to. Go through somebody, another asshole, to set them up and say some lies like that. Seriously, get a life. Get a life, Mr. Heinz Gerardus, that's right. You need a brain surgery. He needs new brain. New surgery. The friends of Genus. Oh my God. Yes, honey bun. This is the other reality that I have learned about these people inside this address. Initially, when I moved here, 29th of April, 2012, there weren't that many of them. Slowly, I think just in the last 3 years or so, suddenly this address was dominated, taken over by the MMB. Red everywhere, Red Bull, that's correct. And I'm thinking, and it was only just last week when I went to Wellington, that I made the penny drop, what this address means, what those decisions mean that you were given, those ill treatment, those torturous, long decisions, abusive, extreme decisions. And that is, these people, if they are a criminal organization, they are about drug trafficking, human trafficking, that's correct, money laundering, extortion, blackmailing. But the last part of the category, when I went to read about the organization, this is Wikipedia, was the fact that they had a list of criminal activities that they supposedly engage in and do and commit every day. And right at the end of the list was the word rape. So then the penny dropped to me, and I was thinking, oh shit, don't tell me that's correct. That the police officers are actually part of the criminal organization, being associates as well as KKK members. They committed a rape, the rape crime that was committed upon my person was committed on behalf of the criminal organization and its members and its associates and even my evil rallies. But it was more for their benefit, saying, we committed a heinous crime against a very important person, that's correct. One that's actually a part royal, that's correct. And also part German, part Pakia, that is from a noble family. I'm not surprised that those are the kind of crimes they would have committed to a lot of, say, Maori princesses and Maori princesses after signing the treaty. A lot of them, the Maori nobles, were raped as a way of disciplining them, as a form of discipline, but also as a form to convert them to sex slaves. Get used to it. They're going to get used to the fact that they are now officially a hoa to a white nigger and to the rest of the party poopers. That's correct, loser party poopers. So in other words, I am definitely a victim that was targeted by a criminal organization going back to 96. And of course, they had anticipated and they knew when to commit the rape crime, what day and what time and who was going to do it. And also that was to satisfy the treaty partnership, the evil apartheid treaty partnership, meaning the Maoris. Look at them, they're everywhere. What are they doing inside this building? Like I said, they seem to stalk the hell out of you. That's correct. They seem to single you out. They seem to want access to you 24/7. They seem to want to know all there is to know and study you. There is no Pakeha that I know of in this country that don't have any criminal connections, that have been studied that way, that have been, targeted, dictated to, harassed and stalked and even dominated this way. That's good. Never. So in other words, this criminal organization chose this address to continue to apply more of their so-called arbitrary dictatorships, ill treatments, because of the fact that they had raped you, that's correct, by their associates. Nasty, isn't it? And yet the elites, and I'm talking about powerful elites like Anthony Shaw, Matthew Palmer, Kiri Allen, that's correct, Kiri Tapu Allen, William Seal, or Opito, William Seal, that's correct, Carmel Cipollone, majority of the ministers, and even the police commissioner, Andrew Costa, seem to have known, they knew, and even your rallies, your cousin side of the family, know the culprits that committed the crime upon your person on behalf of the criminal organization and on behalf of the KKK. Now, here's how I see. Obviously, they had targeted the victim, myself, back in 96. And they weren't satisfied. With the so-called, connection with atua takatawi talepine. They set you up with a married man. Most criminal organizations, the majority of women that are part of the criminal organization, even associates, they got to get used to having sex with married men and married women. That is a common protocol that is applied not only by criminal organizations, for criminal organizations, for their associates, for the elites, but it's also applied across the border in the Maori culture, And it's the reason why there's so many women out of children out of wedlock. They hardly marry. Their de facto relationships and partnership relationships are more common among the Maori community. Well, just take a look at why are there 800,000 of them? It's because the Pākehā have found a way to convert them to their blessed good luck in the form of a sex slave or a slave. That's correct. They have found them a good job. I mean, a really freaking good job of making them useful. That's correct. And that means they spy on behalf of the Pākehā. They have sex. They satisfy the Pākehā in this country. They listen and they do what the Pākehā tell them, and then they get rewarded for their so-called obedience and faithfulness and loyalty. Meanwhile, people like me that should have been, was a graduate, former graduate, that should have been prospering and should have been allowed it to get a donation during the so-called 6 years that I've been, preaching on my own YouTube channel and Facebook, have got to contend with the crumbs off the table. That's correct. We've got to contend with whatever rubbish, whatever nonsense that the elites feel that I deserve, and the rest of all these party pooper losers who seem to be having sex galore outside the marriage arrangement with other married couples. They seem to think that, hey, because we all know each other, we love each other, that's great, we can't get enough of each other's so-called private parts, that's correct, and our so-called anatomy, we've got to teach you our way of doing things. You got to respect our way of doing things. Yeah. Even now and yesterday, I think, was it now or last night? Mrs. Ann Martin has reappeared again on my WhatsApp. And even calling me on my cell phone, and then I've had to block her out. That's correct. The lady who I've been dealing with, I told her exactly what I think of her. The parcel, that's right. The agent that dealt with the parcel that you paid for over 3 years. She got the cheek and the nerve to send you, a text. After she had, you remember, the list of crimes the criminal organization can be involved with is extortion of money, stealing, embezzling, that's correct. And so the parcel that I paid for over 3 years that I wouldn't have known would have come from an associate of this criminal organization that was part of the police intelligence unit, that's correct. That is the worst type of extortion I have ever endured. It was so cruel and torturous, but it was beyond cruelty, or the worst kind. And considering all those other bad decisions, it was the most cruel. It was the most cruelest. That's correct. But it was the elites, people that ran this government. It was the government of New Zealand and the New Zealand police force, in the form of the police intelligence unit and the police commissioner, that made these bad, unsound, horrible, evil decisions. That's correct. That now you've got these people that are sick with sex addiction. They're sexual predators. They're having sex all day. That's correct. They've got a brothel running it. They already know. That's correct. That is what a criminal organization is about. They target victims. That's correct. To use them as mules to bring in their so-called loot or their plunder, or even their so-called, their drugs, contrabands into this country. And I guess in this case, they found it very convenient, that's correct, to access you. Since you're already here for tenancy, you wouldn't know, how they operate. And yet they are about extorting money. So they decided, hey, we'll just mislead her and manipulate her in thinking that she's paying for somebody for a very valuable parcel, when in actual fact, we're only stealing money from you for the last 3 years. She's never going to know. That's correct. So not only did they rape you, they subject you to extortion of money for over three years. Yeah. And then they controlled you and oppressed you and marginalized you, restrict your access to their services by giving you all those long-bending decisions. And while they gave you those long-bending decisions, they were drugging you, they were poisoning you, they were getting members to do stupid, silly things, like putting their inland revenue letters inside your mailbox, when I specifically say there is to be no communications of all, any contact, when you serve those trespass notice with special conditions. So I'm now going to hold your government fully responsible, police commissioner, police intelligence unit, the president of this criminal organization, Maoris, for conspiring as a whole group to cover up the rape crime committed by this. Remember, it was committed by this criminal organization. It was committed by their own associates. That's correct. That is part of their criminal organization. That's why they couldn't arrest the criminals. That's correct. And also it appears that's why they couldn't arrest Mr. Brick back in 2004 when he came to the Wellington police station regarding what happened in 96. It was because they are part of the KKK and part of this so-called criminal organization. So I guess who's going to get the handcuffs? Who's going to finally put the cookie back in the cookie jar? Oh, it won't be me. That's correct. This is going to be a very serious case because you've got the ministers, the officials, your rallies, conspiring, covering up the two police officers. Two police officers, I'm going to urge you both, that's correct, to take yourselves down to the police station, make a statement, write an affidavit, that's correct. Because when this application goes to the German asylum, you're going to see a deployment of Knights Templar, and I mean full-on German, come to investigate. But it'll be a straight kill, because you're all guilty. Not one of you is going to own up because you haven't got the guts. You're too scared, you're cowards. Like a lot of men who are married. Their wives are either bullied by the criminal organization, meaning the people, the superiors who run the criminal organization, and they could even be bullied by the elites that are associates of the criminal organizations to have sex with their members or with whomever that they feel that they ought to. You know, who does that? Who gave you people that kind of authority to abuse? I mean, seriously. So you're prepared now to lay in your coffins? You're prepared to kiss the dirt? That's correct, because that's what it means. When you thought you could go too far, that's correct. You could get whatever you want. At what price? Your people aren't prepared to make any sacrifices. It's people like myself and the Haviland family, another good family, Christian family inside my kingdom that make sacrifices. But we don't need to make sacrifices for evil people. They're doing it to themselves every day. That's correct. We don't need to be part of your police intelligence unit. I never asked for it. I don't need any privileges from any people of Aotearoa, whether it be your people or some other people or the treaty partnership. I don't need anything from any of you. That's correct. You just need to let me go. Let me leave your country. But it looks like you're going to fight it. But you're not going to win. That's correct. The only thing you'll be doing is subjecting me to systemic slavery. When you're constantly knowing about my business, controlling what I do. Now suddenly you've got all these commoners and criminals trying to control my life. That's correct. I'm 51 years old. I ain't never going to give my blessings to any man in this country. That's correct. And they should have learned that lesson a long time ago. Don't matter whether I look indigenous or I could never fit into your Maori culture. I couldn't even fit in the Samoan culture. That's correct. So what makes you think that you people are going to win over me? That's correct. I ain't scared of the fact that I'm standing here alone, other than with my angels and the rest of my Holy Ghost family. I know all there is to know about your country, your apartheid treaty partnership. This guardian angel has taught me well, that's correct, about the social issues that have a huge, massive, detrimental impact, insidious impact on people's lives, especially myself, who has taken it all. Yeah. The only thing I haven't taken is the sodomizing on my asshole, my backside. That's correct. That's about the only thing. Well, oh God, I can't imagine if they probably did that. Who knows? But it's so evil to think that they actually rape a full royal on behalf, and they were actually watching. That's correct. They were eyewitnesses. They were witnesses. This is probably why they have this obsession over you, thinking they're going to get it on, thinking that I'm just going to open my doors and let you in your fucking dreams. Get out of my kingdom. That's correct. You evil son of a bitches. You're not worthy for the blood of Jesus. You're not worthy either for his bread and wine. That's correct. And nor are you worthy to worship the God that we know, that we grew up with. Because, well, if you're molesting your children, I mean, you've got criminal organizations, and at the end of the list, they're about raping their women and children, molesting them every day. What God would be stupid enough to send his son down to deliver you? That's correct. When you know damn well what you're doing, it ain't right. But you go right ahead doing it because the buck is paying you. The elites are paying you money to do it. That's correct. Go on, continue on being evil. That's correct. Don't listen to what she's talking about. What she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Yeah, but then when we come to court to deal with the restraining order, and I have to deal with you via the asylum application, suddenly it's silence. That's correct. They don't know where to run to. Now the stormtroopers are coming in. Investigate. Oh gee, let me have a look at the check out the WINS office. That's correct. Oh, why are these people that appear to be Hell's Angel, or even this particular criminal organization, why are their benefits, up the roof, through the roof? That's correct. What's going on here? Don't say it's because they're fucking the shit out of the elites, or the Maori elites especially. Then they get a double portion or a triple portion of their benefit. Seriously? And it looks like, my God, you got one member that has got 5 different applications that's been approved. And here's me. In the last so-called 2 or 3 years, I couldn't even get an advance. That's correct. My 4 weeks advance. Oh my gosh, and I'm thinking, I'm 51. I haven't been a troublemaker down at WINS office. And already I'm still getting this ugliness, that's correct, from these people in this country that are sick. When are you guys going to grow up? When are you going to learn to respect me? Hey, just because, you got the powers. You got the power through the elites. You got the power through the Treaty of Waitangi. You got the power through your kaumatua. You got the power through your so-called the system, because the majority of your Pākehās are half Maori. That's correct. And don't mean that what? That you're going to win over this one man, one woman band. That's correct. You're not going to win over me. I'll give it to you. You got the money. Money's on your side. There's plenty of money to go around. There's plenty of money to chuck around and even throw in the fire. That's correct. But you ain't going to win over me. You ain't going to you've been trying for the last 28 years. You see how evil it is to live among these people for the last, 9 years. Especially in the last so-called, when I moved down here last year, in the last 3 years or 2 years, they've been trying, especially this address, they've been trying to come in. That's correct. While I'm trying to get some rest and sleep. What's wrong with these people? It's because they're part of a criminal organization. and their table, their food that they partake from is raping women and children. That's all they do to their women. That's the only kind of blessing and the only kind of love, that's correct, that they give them. Now, do you think that a natural pastor, let alone all those pastors, are going to tolerate, that kind of nonsense? And put up, like embrace you and say, oh yeah, come here, come inside church, that's great. He's a serial rapist. He's going to molest so many children, that's great. There's probably over 30 and 40 he's already done in this week. And you're trying to be nice to an evil person? Seriously. Understand now why you people are not part of my kingdom? Now, of course, you can have your own church TV. But it would be a lie and a fake. That's correct. Because I know better. I know what it means to be a reborn Christian. I know what it means to be a national pastor. I'm not just a director. I'm actually a national pastor. That's great. But you wouldn't know the difference. That's why. It's a company. That's correct. So I didn't need to be ordained like the rest of the ordained. That's correct. That's why it's registered as a company. That's correct. If it was registered as something else, then I probably would need a certificate of ordination. But at the moment, I don't need any of it because my intellectual property works. And of course, anything I produce and create, you copy. Yeah, but why do you need to copy it and duplicate it? I thought you hate my guts. I thought you didn't believe in my kingdom, let alone my queen. That's great. I thought you people didn't believe in any God. Why'd you need your church TV? You can go without it. Don't need it. Just like you don't need that police intelligence unit. But you can't live without it. That's great. You like like Satan. You like to be respected. You like the privilege of receiving, honors and prestige and money and the rest of it. But you don't want to get it the right way, and you don't want to earn it the right way either. It's too hard. It's too hard. Why don't we just copy her idea? Whatever she does, we'll copy. Whatever date that she uses, we'll follow. That's great. Because we know that if we do, then our people are going to be either blessed, healed, or protected. Right? So you're so cunning that you know because you've been studying me. You've been hearing what the guardian angel has been saying in private. And yet you give no kohart. That's great. No, none. None taken either, and none given either. That's correct. But you enjoy your church TV that the government of New Zealand has probably paid for. But come the day that you'll be able to tell the difference. None of you will be able to be knighted in your fucking dreams. Go to the Maori King. I don't think his monarch is going to exist after my so-called filing of my asylum application, and especially after I file my restraining order. Maori King's not going to exist. The monarch is going to go. That's correct. Because you people have committed treasons upon treasons upon treasons. And if you think you're going to fool anybody in thinking that, hey, she's crazy, she ain't a royal, she's not a natural pastor, yeah, but you copy my ideas and you know how to apply them. But you see, the way that you apply them is a loser's demonic, satanic, and depraved way. Well done. Why don't you all clap for yourselves, eh? Because your intellectual property ain't worth nothing. Because if you copy somebody else's idea, you can't be paid for your services. That's correct. If that's somebody's idea, you will end up paying for it. That's correct. Because you decided to be selfish and foolish and copy and duplicate it when your people don't need a church TV. You don't need it. You've been going without it for the last over 180 years of your treaty partnership. That's correct. You've never needed any intellectual property like that until I came along. And that is my blessing. That's great. But of course, Maoris just can't help themselves, stealing other people's blessings. That's correct. KK has taught you well. That's correct. You know how to steal people's blessings, but you don't need to look for blessings from people like myself because we're not part of your iwis and hapus. That's correct. We're not married into your culture either. And I'm not likely to accept any of your protocols. No, seriously. I have felt the wrath, the end of the stick, you name it, everything there is to know about your crazy culture. That's correct. And I will never, ever speak your language. I won't waste my breath, let alone my mouthpiece, to speak your language. You're happy? Well, of course. You can speak your language. You can do what you like. The government can afford to pay for anything you want. Except you people are so evil. Why would somebody like me want to waste my blessings to people that are evil, that are raping their children, molesting? That's great. And of course, you're going to get tired of me reminding you that kind of thing. But I tell you what, even I would get tired of being reminded by your people about my so-called bestiality. Since that happened way back, that's great. Now, you, especially this organization and these criminals, they like to go and spread the word out. That's great. Like they're preaching the gospel of bestiality. Do you think I'm going to get tired? I didn't earn a kingdom this way because I got tired. Because I can easily get tired. A pastor never gets tired when they've been given a flock to shepherd and pastor. But when fools like your people and selfish people like your people come along, think you can duplicate and counterfeit and create something better, your people ain't worth nothing. I don't want anything from your people. That's correct. I mean, I just want you all to stay out of my kingdom now that you've got your own little, church TV where you can post whatever you want. But the problem is you people are still dictating. That's the problem. Now I've got to put a stop to it. How do we do that? I got to go to Germany, asylum application, but I've got to go to court to deal with it on a restraining order. And I'm not tired at all. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it. In all honesty. Because the only person that I want to give glory to is God. Now, of course, you may think that I'm fake. Well, I think when you are eavesdropping and copying and duplicating my ideas and denying also my privileges as a director to receive donations or whatever in that form, can only be in a donation. You people, it's impossible to be nice to people like you. And it's impossible even to speak to you, let alone go past you if you're so evil. Amen. Right now, I just want to say to my Snow King Club congregation, hang in there. I've just got to prioritize my so-called private affairs. I've got to sort it out. That's correct. All I want you, each and everyone to do is to pray for me. That's correct. Pray for me. If you can't send a donation, don't bother. Send me a donation when I'm gone to Germany. Amen. Because these guys, you've already taken enough. They've already stolen the icing, the cake, you name it. And even your trousers, that's great. And your play has been stolen. Everything to do with you for some odd reason. I don't know, maybe Mr. and Mrs. Yoke, they're to Maru, my dad's brother, who is sick and nutty, is probably paying all these people, even the elites, money to have me control and denied of my privileges. Just so that he can be like Satan. Like, I'm the king of this country. I'm the king over the Trevi clan. I got power over the Trevi clan. Yeah, but I'm a Brown. Watch it now. You be careful. Or you might just, I'll be honest. The graveyards, Whenua Tapu, it's opening up. And the ground is saying, you know what? We're ready. We're ready for them. Those people on the list. That's about the only placing that is ready right now. The ground is calling out the blood of the people that were murdered and killed by those people on the list. And the criminal organization is calling out from the grave. They're ready. They're ready. They want compensation. They want to be compensated. They want redress in the form of them. They need to go and lay inside their coffins and be buried. That's correct. So that they can rest. So they can rest. But they know they got the blessing of resurrection thanks to me. As for them, there is nothing waiting for them. There's no paradise. No. Was there anyone? No paradise? No second chances? Nothing. Nothing. There's nothing waiting for them. They've been, the dead has been waiting for them for a long time. In fact, your cousin's side of the family, her parents, and the entire family, and extended family, they should have gone ages ago. To their graves, to their graves. My dad always made sacrifices. Looks to be always for his younger siblings. I wish he was smarter than that. And, if he had known that there was a potential demon lurking in the shadows, he should have packed up, taken his, all his children and gone over the Tasman. Hopefully, I know that my siblings are prospering, but again, the demons in this country, the elites and your rallies, they need to be taken out. That are trying to dictate to our family, to our monarch, to our privileges. We don't need to be dictated by the likes of my dad's brothers and sisters. What for? We've got our own blueprint. We've got our own way of doing things. We don't need the people of Aotearoa to dictate to our family and our monarch. How? We never do that to your king, Maori king. But like I said, he ain't going to be around for too long. That's great. At the rate that your people are going, the rest of you, that grave is opening up. The ground is opening up. It's waiting for the outpouring of the blood. That's correct. Of wicked people and godly people. Blame your government for being so stupid. That's correct. I mean, I never heard of a government who has sex with criminals. That's correct. Let alone with the most crazy, sick people. That's correct. Like the likes of Mr. and Mrs. Yoke. Those kind of people, or even on the list, they're all insane. They're all insane. They're crazy. They should have gone to jail a long time ago. Anyway, well, looks like the Independent Police Conduct Authority is another authority that I will need to deal with at the courts. So we've got the Police Intelligence Unit, the Police Commissioner and the New Zealand Police Force, the elites, the Maori elites and the other elites that are associated with the criminal organisation who fund them and even aid and abet their criminal, conspiring to deny you access to official information. If somebody has been known to commit a crime, even if it's a historical rape crime, the wisest thing to do for the government of New Zealand and for the rest of even the Sergeant of Police and even the so-called Independent Police Conduct Authority is to give the victim the information so that she can arrest the perpetrators and stop the commission of the same crime again in the future, and stop that there's a risk out there where my nieces, my immediate family, which might be my siblings, other women in our family, could be targeted by the same culprits. So that's why I needed that information. And even the information of Mr. Presley's full names and address. I can't understand the arrogance of your people, the arrogance of the treaty, apartheid treaty partnership, the arrogance of the Maoris in the Pākehās to deny you that information. Is it because the elite told them to deny? And yet you're going to, expect me to put up with the nonsense from the so-called, offenders that are still out there roaming and doing harm to the victim? Are you serious? There's something terribly wrong with this country. That's correct. They have no conscience. But they are very bad at taking responsibility. They learn accepting that they are in the wrong when somebody says, you know what? Why didn't you stop trespassing? Why did you need to do that for? Hey, you got food at home. You got food down there in your other farm out. That's great. You got food galore that you can go down to the food bank or some other charitable organization to get Sally's, St. John. That's great. St. Vincent de Paul. But you got the nerve to come inside my flat and think you can help? You know, like put food. Those are my blessed food. That's great. You ain't a blessed person to be touching, an evil person to be touching unworthily. That's great. You don't deserve a bite of that meal that I cooked. That's great. That my angels cooked. You don't even need to taste it. You know what I mean? That's like you think it's okay to dish out the wrath, commit crimes, and cover it up. Except when your people start dropping dead, and when your people start to lose your blessings, don't you dare blame people like me. You got so many unconfessed sins. You ain't a Christian. Then why did you need to have a church TV? Could you not just leave it alone? Couldn't you just let it go? That's correct. What's wrong with you people? You stalk the hell out of me. Why police officers that are sex offenders, they're sick. They need to be arrested. They need to be healed. They need to be taken and given some kind of treatment, rehabilitation of some sort. That's correct. But you can't expect the victim to carry it all. This would happen again. That's correct. And I think this is what they were trying to do. Trying to climb over, trying to find a way to get in. What for? Angel Wi-Fi, angel whore, you fucking dreamers. That's correct. Tell that asshole in the islands that if he ever come back to this country, I could extradite him and have him arrested in this country. That's correct. With the rest of you, nonsense. That's correct. I believe I've said enough. You all have a very good morning. And as for my smoking club flock, you know what to do. That's great. The angels will tell you what to do, but the Holy Spirit of God will tell you what to do. And I want to thank personally all the clergymen, the ordained pastors whom have been part of my kingdom throughout my so-called ministry. Thank you for your prayers and thank you for your teachings as well. Thank you for opening my eyes and giving me a new pair of eyes at the same time, a new brain. But like I said, there's a lot of people out there that they need to be euthanized, put to sleep, put to rest, put out of their misery. There is no healing. There's no magic pill for them. That's correct. They're going to continue on doing what they're doing, harming people. And people like me, we're sick and tired of taking, this pain and the suffering. We don't need to suffer psychologically or physically, emotionally, or in any other form. We don't need to feel pain if we are living in a so-called free democratic country. We don't need to be taught lessons if we're qualified graduates. Formally, we got a degree. That's right, we went to university. I think a lot of you should be going to university to study. Do that kind of study, but not this kind of studying. Not this kind of crazy nonsense studying. That's correct. Perversion, perverting somebody, eavesdropping into somebody. Knowing your private affairs and then trying to overrule your decision making through other people is creepy. It's unacceptable. It's evil. That's correct. Right. Name of the Father, the Son, of the Holy Spirit, amen.